This week on the Midweek Message, as we continue our study in the Epistle to the Galatians, Paul expands on his teaching on the topic of grace. In chapter 3, he exhorts the Christ followers in Galatia to remember their first love and that they have been called to be imitators of Christ. And now, here's Pastor Todd.
Thank you for joining us for the Midweek Message. I tell you, God's so good to us in so many ways. Grace is one of those things we've been talking about over the last little while, and we're looking at grace again. Paul is pushing back against the Judaizers. He's writing to the Galatians, the church at Galatia, loves that church very much, but they have a problem. They are being led astray by the Judaizers, people who believe you have to be a Jew before you can become a Christian. He's trying to push back against that idea and trying to enforce this idea of you're saved through grace. Don't add to it. Don't allow legalism to steal your joy. And so in Galatians chapter 3, he's now addressing the Galatians themselves. Last week we talked about that powerful message that he gave to Peter, how he clarified the need to follow the salvation through grace that comes through Jesus Christ, and pushed back against Peter for being legalistic and being a follower of the Jews instead of a follower of Christ. This week he's going to talk to the Galatians very bluntly. So in Galatians chapter 3, verse 1, it says this, "O foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you that you should not obey the truth, before whose eyes Jesus Christ was clearly portrayed among you as crucified?" And he's pushing back against the Galatians in this idea that they should become legalists or they should become Judaizers. He's saying, look, who lied to you? Who's tricking you? Who's pulling the magic trick on you? Why are you falling for this mess? And notice what he points to. He points to the basis of their problem. They've forgotten their first love. They've begun to look upon another person for their example. They're looking to these Judaizers for their example. Oh, they're better the Christians than we are because they follow certain laws and walk certain ways and do certain things. And it makes them feel like they're lesser Christians. And Paul's saying, who told you that? And so he's pushing back against them, and he says this. I love this. He says, "Who bewitched you that you should not obey the truth?" Now, what's the truth? The truth is that Jesus Christ was crucified for them. And he says, I portrayed that. That has been portrayed before you. That is how you became a Christian. And Paul knows it. He's saying basically, I'm the one who showed you. I'm the one who portrayed that. If you want to follow an example, follow Jesus Christ. Don't try to follow the example of the Judaizers. Quit trying to become like other people and follow the image of Christ. He said, that's what I portrayed before you. Now keep in mind, Paul's a Jew of the Jews. He knew all the rules and regulations, lived by those things. But now he's showing them to live by grace. This is an important thing for Paul. It's not just words, it's not just theologies. It literally is a way of life. How are you going to live out your life? Paul's saying, live by Christ. Live by His example. The second thing I want you to see is in verse 2. "This only I want to learn from you. Did you receive the Spirit by the works of the law, or by the hearing of faith? Are you so foolish, having begun in the Spirit, are you now being made perfect by the flesh? Have you suffered so many things in vain, if indeed it was in vain?" Notice what he's saying. He's saying, look, what caused you to be cleansed to begin with? He said, are you saying that you were forgiven through Jesus Christ, that you came to know Christ through the Spirit, but now that you have accepted Christ and now walk in the Spirit, are you now saying that you're even more perfect through the flesh? He's saying, what good was the prior? Why would Christ come? Why would He give His life? Why have this spiritual experience if you could have had it through the flesh to begin with? He says that the flesh is so powerful. Why is it that you ever needed Christ? And he's answering his own question. He's pounding home to him this idea of you're not improving upon your Christianity by doing fleshly things. Sometimes we do that as Christians even today. If we're not careful, legalism creeps in. We see another Christian and we start imitating the way that they walk and talk and look and what books they read and how they dress and what kind of car they drive or what kind of bumper sticker they have on or what kind of sweatshirt they wear or what kind of t-shirt they have. I want to tell you something. Be careful. We are not called to be imitators of men. We're called to be imitators of Christ. We're saved not because of the law. We're saved through faith in Jesus Christ. He goes on in verse 5 to say this, "Therefore, he who supplies the Spirit to you and works miracles among you, does he do it by the works of the law or by the hearing of faith? Just as Abraham believed God and it was counted to him for righteousness. Therefore know that only those who are of faith are sons of Abraham. And the Scripture, foreseeing that God would justify the Gentiles by faith, preached the gospel to Abraham beforehand, saying, in you all the nations shall be blessed. So then those who are of faith are blessed with believing Abraham." And notice what he's pointing back to now. He's arguing now of Abraham. It's this idea of walking with the law. The Judaizers are saying, look, you need to be Jews. We come from Abraham. We know the truth. We've known God longer. And Paul pushes back against that. He's pushing back in the area of inheritance. He says, look, because of your faith, you are children of Abraham. Now, you're not children of blood by Abraham, but more importantly, you're children of the inheritance of Abraham. And he points back to the Scripture that says, believing God and was accounted to him to righteousness. And then he says, and in you all the nations shall be blessed. In other words, he didn't just say the Israelites. So when the Judaizers come in and say, we know better because we've known God longer, Paul pushes back and says, look, listen, Galatians, Gentiles, you are just as much a part of the promise of Abraham as any Israelite, not because you're blood heirs, but because of the inheritance that's brought to you through the adoption made possible through Jesus Christ. He's saying, look, it's the grace. And the promise is there. It was given to Abraham that all the nations would be blessed. That's not just talking about because an Israelite's in another nation. That's saying all the people of the world have the opportunity to be blessed through Abraham. How is that possible? Because Christ comes through Abraham, and they are the children of God, not because of the blood of Abraham, but because of faith in Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the sacrifice of the world. So you see the promise that comes through Abraham comes to them. It comes to you as well. I realize we live in a world that's constantly pulling us one way and another and telling us how we should live and what we should read and what we should listen to and how we should act. I want to tell you something. Imitate Christ, and it'll be enough. People are all the time trying to add to. Come look like me, act like me, listen like me, talk like me. I want to tell you something. Come sit with Christ. As you look at His burden, as you walk with Him, as you know what He's given up for you, experience the love that Christ has for you through grace. That's what brings salvation, faith in Jesus Christ, and faith alone. It's a gift. Don't make it a law. Thank you for watching. I hope that you have a great week today.